Of all the great figures in psychology, perhaps Sigmund Freud
every time
is the most.
We turn around and say, oh, he's so amiable. That person is a control freak, or talk about Freud.
He was eccentric. At times he was an abuser of substances.
I think history has been complex in its relation to Sigmund Freud. He's both valued and devalued. He's idealized and he's denigrated. Physicians of that day prescribed, but they didn't listen. They were the authorities. The patient was expected to, in effect, obey and listen to the doctor. Listening to a patient's life history was an entirely new development.
In 1938, during the last year of his life, Sigmund Freud was old and sick, but his mind was still sharp.
He said the unconscious is the real us, buried down like the bottom of an iceberg. All we see is the tip of the iceberg above the surface of the ocean. That's the present day us. But what really makes us is the downstairs, the subconscious. We are driven by sexual desires, for example, that lay dormant but are trying to somehow affect our behavior.
It was during his internship that Freud met Martha Bernays, a lively, intelligent woman. Martha came from a good Austrian family.
This was his great love, and he struggled to win her and to get together enough money to be able to marry her, and it's over several years that this unfolds.
Only one thing stood in their way. Sigmund Freud was unknown. He would have to make a name for himself first. He soon pinned his hopes for fame and fortune on a little-known drug, which seemed to hold great promise as an anesthetic and as a treatment for exhaustion and depression. It was cocaine. Freud believed in cocaine so much that he began using the drug himself, and even sent some to Martha. Freud published a paper extolling the drug's virtues. But Freud deeply regretted his haste after the drug's addictive properties became known. It was a huge blow for Freud professionally. Having married the love of his life, Martha Bernays, the Freuds had 6 children during their first 9 years of marriage. They settled into a typical domestic arrangement. While Martha managed the family, Sigmund Freud was consumed by his work. As more and more of Freud's patients began recalling incidences of abuse from their childhood, Freud arrived at a bold conclusion that he would later come to regret. All hysteria was caused by sexual abuse during childhood. Freud spent the last year of his life very ill, but surrounded by friends, family, and supporters. He died in exile in 1939. More than 60 years after his death, the pioneering work of Sigmund Freud is being carried on by thousands of psychoanalysts around the world. And what began as an effort to treat the mentally ill is today helping people from all walks of life.